having in the market. And joining us now, Mike Sommers, President and CEO of the American Petroleum Institute. Mike, great to have you with us. You can see an immediate reaction in the oil markets to that announcement, and oil prices are going in the wrong direction. And I think the message is here, and I've just done the calculation. What we're seeing is a release of the equivalent of 5 days of Russian oil production. It's a symbolic move, but it's a drop in the proverbial oil ocean. Your view on this?
Yeah, absolutely, Julia. I will say that the SPR is really built for just these kinds of moments of international crisis. This is an appropriate use of the SPR during this time of really a world crisis in energy markets that has come as a consequence of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. I think too often the United States uses the SPR as more of an ATM than it does as a relief valve during times of international crisis. So I think the Biden administration has appropriately used the SPR, but at the same time, we think it's more important that we get more U.S. energy on the market as quickly as possible. And that has to come with changed policies here in the United States so that we can get those energy products to these vulnerable markets soon.
Great point, and we can talk about this because you've just called it a relief valve, but there's no relief in the market. The market's going in the opposite direction because it recognises this is not enough. And I think one of the fears out there is that while right now energy has a carve-out from the sanctions, there is a possibility that this is the nuclear option, and I'll carefully call it that, is used. How high might oil prices, for example, go, Mike, in that instance? Have you done any analysis?
Well, we are very concerned about it. And again, that's one of the reasons why we have the SPR in place. But I think you pointed out that, 60 million barrels is really about 60% of what the world uses every single day. So the world consumes about 100 million barrels every single day. So we need other sources of energy, which is why it's important that the United States, as the world energy leader, continue to put more supply on the market. But there have to be policies put in place here in the United States to encourage that. And unfortunately, over the course of the last year, we've seen the opposite being put into place by this administration. So I actually just sent a letter to Secretary Granholm on a couple of things that they can do immediately to encourage American development of energy during this time of crisis.
Historian Neil Ferguson and the CEO of Citadel, Ken Griffin, wrote a great op-ed in the past week saying Europe needs to replace Russian gas with examples like American LNG. And if you compare LNG created or extracted in the United States to Russian, it's far cleaner. The controls and regulations are higher. The problem is the regulations in the United States are restricting that and not allowing it. How quickly could Europe reduce its reliance on Russia by utilising supplies from the United States of LNG, for example? How quickly, in an ideal scenario, could this be ramped up, Mike?
Well, I will say that the United States has really stepped up to the plate here. In fact, the United States, continues to be one of the top suppliers to LNG to the European market. About 50% of U.S. LNG is now going to Europe, when a month ago it was only 37%. But again, we need policies in place. In fact, just last week, the United States imposed new regulatory requirements on new LNG facilities and on pipelines. That is the exact opposite message we should be sending. We also know that there are about six applications for new LNG facilities sitting at the DOE now. We need to get those done as quickly as possible to meet the moment here for our European allies.
Yeah, we have to find a way to produce more gas, not less, but do it in a cleaner way and somehow get that message across, particularly given the backdrop of the crisis here. We're seeing some of your members and some of your former members restrict their investments, cut their investments, and even leave their investments and try and get out. A big one in the case of BP, for example. Are you promoting that? Are you pushing your members to cut all ties with Russia?
Well, certainly individual companies are going to be making those decisions, and we're monitoring that closely. At the same time, we need to make sure that the world can continue to get the energy that they need, particularly, again, our European allies, to be able to get that energy that they need during this time of crisis. The United States wants to continue to step up to the plate. In fact, I will say that in the Permian Basin, our most prolific basin, we've reached record numbers of production just in the last month. Rig counts continue to go up week on week. American producers are stepping up and responding to this time of crisis, and will continue to do so to meet the moment and to ensure that Europeans have access to safe and affordable energy from the United States.
Yeah, and responding to iron ore prices too. Mike, good to chat to you. Mike Sommers, President and
Great to be
CEO
with you, Julia.
of the American Petroleum Institute. So thank you.